Welcome to Tough Conversations with David Wood, where play meets depth. We help teams and high-performing leaders like you to master your tough conversations so you succeed in your career and in your life. When we avoid tough conversations, we stay small. Teams stay disengaged, conflicted, and ultimately end up quitting. When we lean in and master our tough conversations, they become the defining moments that literally shape our careers, our relationships, and our lives. So let's dive in and master your next tough conversation so you can be the leader that you would follow. Let's play.
I like it too.
I like the how about you?
I like the da-na-na.
Oh, we went.
So, welcome, Martin Rutte. I might put you on the spot a little bit with what are some of the things that you're proud of?
I think going for my truth, and not knowing about people's opinions, knowing about what the culture said, but finding that going for my own truth was where the juice really was. And the 3 or 4 times in my life, going for vision, I helped start the whole field of spirituality and work, and now going for Project Heaven on Earth. In each of those 3 arenas, people would say at the beginning, you can't do this. No one's ever done it before. And for me, that was like waving a red flag at a bull, because this is what I wanted to do. And when you said, no, I can't do it, that just made me want to do it even more.
Right. So I'm curious, in what way currently do you feel like you're playing for real in the games of life and work?
One of the things that I did in this work on Project Heaven on Earth was I began to look initially at the notion of heaven. Tell me about heaven. Where is heaven? And the general belief is heaven is after death. Heaven is upstairs. But underlying all of that is, and this is totally relevant to what we're talking about, not here, not now. And I thought, when I really got that, that was so profound for me. And when I started investigating it in the 1600s, it was thought that heaven was from about a foot off the ground and just continued way, way up. This was heaven. Galileo comes along with the telescope, looks, and doesn't see heaven. And so thus was born the idea that heaven is way, way up there, not here. Therefore, we can have hells on earth and little bits of heaven on earth, but it's never going to be here. But think about that, David, how profound that is, that we can't have heaven here. And where does it say that we can't? It's ridiculous. Why should we have hunger and war and poverty and all the sufferings that we have in the world? It's not necessary, and we can do something about it. There are actually a number of books beginning to come out now: the end of poverty, the end of illness, the end of war, the end of the nuclear threat, the end of poverty. What's interesting is people are beginning to think about ending those sufferings, not just making them better, which is great, but ending them. So this beginning notion of, well, maybe we can have a new story here. And maybe that story can be, we are actually co-creating heaven on earth.
Beautiful. So again, another way to answer how do you play for real is to realize at least the possibility that heaven, however you define that for yourself, is already here and available.
Yep.
It's not some afterlife kind of thing. It's not even some end of life kind of thing or after you retire. It's
and it may
actually
be
here every single second it's available.
And it may be after death. I don't know. But that does away with the question, well, what about here? What about
now? Yeah. I love it.
Very important.
Very
important to do.
Yeah, I think I was taught, and not deliberately, but I think my parents may have inadvertently taught me about delayed gratification. And that works, and that's a fun game to play. But it's not the only game around delayed gratification. And you've just shown with your example of the plane, instant gratification is possible. Now, I want to talk about another benefit of changing your mindset around the plane, because I have an agenda that I'd like to enroll everybody in the world in the possibility of enjoying everything that happens. So one reason we've already covered is that you get to feel good in your body and you get to enjoy this moment and cut out the middleman of 20 years of striving. You can just have the goal right now. But paradoxically, almost, if you relax and enjoy the plane flight or the cancellation, what else becomes available in the real world? For people who want results, like myself, in my experience, when I'm flowing and enjoying and making a joke, people are drawn to me. They want to talk to me. I might even have 5 or 6 people at the airport and we're having a group conversation now. And a couple are totally stressing out, but people might start to lighten a little bit. And maybe I get my next client out of that conversation or get upgraded to business class or first class just because my energy is different. Have you found that can be, paradoxically, if you give up the result, you might get more results?
True. It doesn't make sense, but I'm suggesting people try it. Just say, okay, I got it. This is not working the way I want. Stop. Okay, that's my judgment. I say it's not working the way I want. Good. Now let me change. And I'm saying, this is perfect. This is wonderful. I'm going to just lean back and enjoy this and let's see what happens. And then the next day, when I got on the plane, it was going to TLC in Hawaii, actually. I just remembered. Lisa Nichols, our friend Lisa Nichols, there she was on the plane. We had the whole time from LA to Hawaii together.
Great. Remind me of the story of the farmer. Farmer's son finds a horse, and the people of the village go, that was lucky. He says, we'll see. And then the son breaks a leg, and the village people say, that was very unlucky. He said, we'll see. And then there's a war, and they come to take the son to war, but he's got a broken leg, so he gets out of it. And they said, that was very lucky. He says, we'll see. We don't know. I want to know, how do you not play for real? So when are you playing the game of life and work casually, not that that's wrong, but as if you were going to get many other chances and you weren't giving it your best shot?
The thing that I've been noticing lately about playing not for real, the first thing that popped in my mind was my internet addiction. I've been really, really honing in on that. I mean, as you know, we've had many discussions about that. And it's beginning, I can see, to change. And so the notion of addiction, whether it's to drugs, booze, I don't have any of that, so gambling, whatever, is you're away. You think the addiction is going to fulfill what's not being fulfilled. And so I'm beginning to look at what's underneath the addiction that really I don't want to be with, the anxiety, the fear, all the stuff that's going on in my head. And that's becoming extremely fertile ground. Tough work, but fertile. And so I think that's your question about where you're not playing for real. That's really good because I think it's just as useful in terms of playing for real.
Right. I love that. So what I'm hearing for you, me, and our listeners is if there's an addiction we have, and I'll say a bit more about addiction in a moment, and we're not investigating it, we're just going along with the addiction, we could be missing out on a big opportunity for personal growth. And I know I've been to 20 AA meetings. Byron Katie insisted on it. It was just part of the program. You will go. So we went, and I realized that I used to think of addiction as shooting a needle into your vein. But I realize now that I'm addicted to television. I'm addicted to eating in general. I'm addicted to sugar. I'm definitely addicted to thinking. I'm addicted to relationships and the idea that I need to be in a relationship to be happy. There are so many addictions that I've become aware of, and I'm not saying any of them are bad, but what I'm hearing is if you don't investigate them, see what's underneath it that would cause you to want to medicate in some way, then we're missing out, and we're not playing for real.
Another way of saying it in my work on Project Heaven on Earth, not only are we looking at how to expand the amount of heaven on earth that you experience in one moment and in subsequent moments, but also to look at the hells on earth. One of the chapters in my book is about the sufferings, ending a suffering. So what is a hell on earth for you, whether it's personal, relationship, out in the world? And what simple little action can you take today to begin to end that hell? People say, oh, heaven on earth, it's all wonderful. Yeah, it's good stuff. But you also need, I believe, to look at the hells on earth and clean those up.
So hearing that, I'm thinking that if I looked at my life and work and relationships, and I've been breaking things into 3 areas recently, like myself, my relationships, family, friends, and partner, and then my work. So if I looked at all those and I wrote down what was hell for me, the stuff that was really bugging me, or as Thomas Leonard used to say, your tolerations. Put down all your tolerations and then go and address those. Your enjoyment of the game of life, I imagine, would go up.
Huge.
Yeah.
Huge. Yeah.
Yes, and I think that brings up a whole sexy conversation for perhaps another day, which is, I think our general pattern for most people, and sometimes myself, is to go into complaint. Just that's the way we do it. I could just complain, oh, this shouldn't be like this. And I don't know who said this, but I should track it down. Complaint is a lazy desire.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, isn't that
I like that. It is good.
There's a desire that wants to come out, and it's not being expressed, not working. So complaint can be a great doorway.
I remember a friend of mine who passed away. He was in AA, and we were talking about resentment one day, and I was saying, I've got these resentments, blah, blah. And he said, resentment is you drinking poison and waiting for the other guy to die. I loved it.
Well, Martin, I love this, and I know we've both got calls after this. I want to ask, before I ask you to give a plug for your website or your book, is there anything you'd like to say about truth, daring, or caring, as it pertains to playing for real before we wrap up?
Daring is a wonderfully powerful word, but it also can be a very soft, okay, I'm going to dare, I'm just going to do this. Caring about yourself, about another, about others, and about our human family and our world. So part of what I'm saying in Project Heaven on Earth is I'm asking you to be responsible, and don't go crazy on this, but I'm asking you to be responsible for having our world work. And I think because you are a human being, you can be responsible for having our world work and taking a very simple action each day to have more heaven on earth. The other thing, of course, is a plug for the book, Project Heaven on Earth, available on, I'll push that up a little longer, Project Heaven on Earth, available on Amazon globally.
And I read your book in Colombia, and what I loved about it is within about 17 pages, I had something practical I could do to affect the world. In a small way, I had something practical. It wasn't this massive project that was too much. I was like, oh, wait a minute. There's one thing I could do, and that felt good. So projectheavenonearth.com, get Martin's course if you'd like some practical help on how to apply creating heaven on earth for yourself right now or realizing it. And it's a great book as well. Thank you, Martin.
Thank you, David. Thank you for your work in the world.
You've been listening to Tough Conversations with David Wood. Now it's action time. Mastering your tough conversations will have a major impact on your team, your company, and you as a high-performing executive or entrepreneur. If you're ready, request a discovery session with me at playforreal.life so we can transform your team, your company, and you. And if you've enjoyed this episode, I would love you to help me spread this message of tough conversations in a very simple way. Just leave a public review at playforreal.life/podcast. And you may hear me read it out loud and thank you live on a future podcast. Now, let's play.